Good evening, everybody. Since this is being recorded, just for the recording, today is April 24th. This is the April Board of Directors meeting open to membership of the Philadelphia Folk Song Society. My name is Miles Thompson. I'm the president. Thank you to everyone who has gathered tonight. Looks like we've got about 40 some people total. Let me just start by saying anybody who is celebrating Passover this week, um, I wish you the best, and I hope that you have nothing but love and support from your families in a otherwise sometimes very harrowing time.
You need to call the meeting to order, Miles.
Very good. So let's get this meeting called to order, please. I'm calling this meeting to order.
You.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we need to approve the minutes from last month. If somebody would put that forward, please. Board of Directors, I know we've read them all.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Somebody second, please.
Am I allowed to second my own minutes? I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, so a couple of things. I've got a sort of a laundry list of weird stuff for the president's update. We have a bunch of good news this month, which we'll get to at the end, because good news is good. I want to mention that Historic Germantown, which is a nonprofit in my neighboring district of Germantown in Philadelphia, is presenting a music series called Music Alive, A Living History of 20th Century American Music. It is taking place on the second Saturdays throughout the summer. On May 11th, they're going to present Ray Bookbinder, who is an old fest favorite and is a walking encyclopedia of American blues forms. And if you are at all interested in American blues in the acoustic manner and the history of same, please check that out. It is in Germantown. It is at 4 p.m. and the information about it and the tickets are available through a link in TuneUp. On June 18th, they will present Saul Brody, who's also an old friend of ours, also in the Woody Guthrie folk vein, and Saul Brody will also be starting at 4. The link to that isn't up yet, but the information from Historic Germantown is probably the same if you click through the link in TuneUp. Please let's support folk music being presented by our neighborhood organizations, because that's kind of what we're supposed to be doing. All right, first up here, we continue to have difficulties with mass mailings to members with Comcast accounts. We have had multiple interactions with Comcast and Robley. Robley is our email database company, and each organization says the problem is resolved. Unfortunately, it is not. This is only affecting Comcast customers, and Comcast claims that everything works. Clearly, it's not quite working. We cannot yet change the email database company, as Robley contains all of our email data, and we may yet have to migrate away from Robley, but it's got to be done very judiciously and very carefully, because we can't afford the risk of losing any of that. We cannot effectively argue any further with Comcast. Need I say more? Have you ever tried to dispute a bill? So they're convinced it's fixed, and we're having members say it's not. So if you have a Comcast email, and some of our board members do, I strongly recommend that you do something like go to Gmail, create a free Gmail account, which works beautifully with our systems. Maybe you just have an account for your folk festival stuff. It's once you do that, let us know and we will update the information in Robley so we have your new email account. I recognize that having an additional email account is a pain, but if you have a Comcast account, you're not now receiving our mailing. So that's a pain. And this is the easiest solution at this time. We do have some friends at Comcast we're going to continue to work with to see if there's a way we can make this change. But nothing moves fast, folks. And what I would suggest that you do, if you're really feeling like you're not learning what's going on through us, is to get yourself a Gmail account. Let us know what it is. If you don't do that, we can't get you. I can't update it. But we will then update your email, and you should start to get the emails from the Folk Song Society. So I wish I had a better answer for you, but that's where we are for now. A couple of things here. Starting in May, if you recall, we have an office space and storage in Glenside, which had been arranged for us by our member and friend Jan Hoffman. The first year of living there was free, rent free. The second year was originally going to be a certain amount of money. And what Jan has offered to us is that it will only be $500 a month, which, considering the size of the two spaces we're in, is a hell of a deal. So thank you, Jan. She's our property manager over there. Starting in May, we'll be paying $500 more a month, but it's only $500. We were paying about $1,700 a month in Roxborough. So just for point of reference. Wendy is going to be spearheading the effort to get our archives out of Iron Mountain. Iron Mountain is a very nice, secure place for a lot of documentation, but it is also costing us a ton. We have to get that sizable amount of money under control. So I'm going to let Wendy speak to that. We're still starting this process, but she is taking it on. So Wendy, go ahead if you want.
Okay, so here's the plan. We have, I think, somewhere in the area of between 150 and 200 boxes of archives at Iron Mountain, roughly. I'm getting a hold of Trish Callahan, who has been dealing with Iron Mountain and their bills and all of that. And she and I are going to set up a put out on the social media stuff, and we can send out email blasts about potential dates. It's going to be a little bit like the move out from Ridge Avenue, but everything will be in boxes. So it should be a lot easier than what we had to do there. So we take everything out. The most delicate archive material will go to Trisha's house because she has several climate controlled areas that will keep them safe. And the stuff that's not as delicate will go back to the office where it's not freezing cold or boiling hot, but it does have temperature variations. So we'll be able to store the rest of it there. And that way we'll get rid of a huge bill that is just kind of coming every month. So ideally, and I know this is tough, we're going to try to get this done before Fest. We could probably do it in one day if we have enough people. I know that a lot of grounds people really showed up for the venue. So I'll be reaching out to those peeps also. And I'm going to talk to Trish about whether I need to rent a U-Haul truck or whether we can just do it to private vehicles. But that's the plan. So just look for more info from me. If you want to help out, reach out to me, please. Thanks.
And thank you, Wendy, for taking that on, because that's a giant pain, and I'm glad you said yes. We have some very good news regarding the fines that were assessed against us by the IRS. These fines were for not filing our taxes for 3 years. That's the 3 years before this board got involved. And I'm going to let Eric Ring speak to that because it was Eric and Eric that made this happen. So Eric Ring, go ahead.
Yep. So a while ago, I had submitted a request for abatement of those penalties. And as I kept saying, it was going to take a long time until the IRS responded. They responded, and those penalties are now abated. And that's about $20,000 of penalties that are abated. So that's fantastic.
So,
mhm.
Yeah, I was going to say, if to the membership, if you've been following the very detailed financial reports from Eric Robbins, we've always had this money we owed that was not necessarily cash, but it was something we owed that could be cash, and about $20,000 just disappeared off that ledger because the IRS abated all of that. And let me just say that that's in no small part at all to the fact that Eric Ring is a highly talented tax lawyer. So thank you for that. And Eric Robbins was very involved in that too. So thank you guys, because that's a great relief.
I just argued the facts that I wanted them to see. To keep that, we also had I think it was $53,000. Eric, is that right? The other one that was abated. So we had a larger one which was abated earlier. To make sure that we don't fall into that situation again, we have the current return for 2023, which will be due May 15th. I am going to file an extension for that for the current year, but the intention is to either file that by May 15th or shortly thereafter. The extension would delay the time that we need to file for a while, but we don't want to be in the same situation where we would risk that again. The only other thing on the tax front, which came to our attention, was the Pennsylvania sales tax exemption had expired in 2021 and nobody had submitted a application to renew that. About like a week ago or so after we found that out, because we will be, and this allows us to make purchases without paying the sales tax. So I submitted the application for renewal. The Commonwealth has that, it's pending, and we should have that, before we need to buy stuff for Fest.
Eric,
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
George?
you said 2021.
2021.
Does that affect what we sold in 2022 at,
Well, it's
Fest?
not, it's not what we sell, it's what we buy and use.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what I
it's
meant.
fine. Yeah, so I don't know what happened in 2022, to tell you the truth. I have no idea what they had submitted or what they used or if they even paid sales tax. I just have no knowledge about that.
Yeah.
At this point, I would say, we're gonna just move forward and make sure that we have the Pennsylvania exemption, and for 2024, we should be in good shape.
Fortunately, we did not buy a whole lot of stuff that would have required in the last year and a half. And to answer your question, George, our license from the state to be able to sell things like tickets,
Right.
et cetera, is current and is tacked to the wall of the office.
So we have
it's
we have a sales tax license. This is just the exemption. So when we buy stuff, we wouldn't have to pay the sales tax.
Right. There shouldn't have been much that we were going to buy anyhow, and most people probably didn't know to say, oh, by the way, we're an exempt organization. So we probably did pay all the sales tax.
yeah,
Okay.
we didn't spend much, and in the last year and a half, frankly, a lot of purchases have been made at the by the kindness of the board members who just bought things
Yeah.
as needed. So yeah, so a few things we purchased that may or may not have been tax exempt, and they should have been, but we didn't have the license, so it's all right.
And just to point out, anything that we buy that we're selling, that would be exempt anyway, because we're buying to resell. So that's exempt with under a different situation than what I was talking about.
So I took care of all the merchandise in the merch tent at Folk Fest. Yeah.
Yeah, that should be fine. But
Yeah.
it's like when we buy, stuff to build bridges or whatever.
Right. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. So I know we tend to get real nervous when we run into something that oh my God, we didn't have something straight with the state or the government. This one's okay. This is not a biggie. So it does need to be taken care of. So thank you, Eric Ring. I appreciate that. Eric Ring, anything else from the tax front?
From the tax side, no, that's it.
Good. All right. Eric Robbins, finance report. Go ahead.
Thank you, Miles. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So the highlights for this month, as Eric already mentioned, having problems here. Do you guys see this big black box on my screen?
No.
I'm seeing the actual report. There's
I'm
no,
seeing your report.
All right, it's covered up by a box for me. Wonderful.
It's the Zoom controls.
It is the Zoom controls. All right, but I can't get rid of them. I apologize, everybody. I guess I'll try to do it by heart if you guys can see it. I know the first line is that we had about $20,000 of penalties and interest abated, so that's amazing. And we no longer have a deficit. So I'm happy to say that. There we go.
that's huge.
All right. Yes, that is huge. Okay. And because of that, we paid down the line of credit another approximate 4,000, and our balance is down to 20,000. During this month, we earned 24 net income for PFS, not FES related, 24,418. Once again, this is why we no longer have a deficit. And then festival sales were 86,580, and that was kind of spearheaded by the end of our early bird sale. We had a lot of sales. So looking at the income statement for the month, you can see on the society side, we had that gain on the IRS debt forgiveness, about 20,000. We had member dues and donations of a little over 7, so 26,000, close to 27,000 in revenue, only 2,400 in operating expenses. So there's our 24,000 of net income for the society, eliminating our beginning deficit coming into the month of about 20,000. We now have net assets of 4,500 for the society. On the FES side, we had the 86,000 of sales. We incurred 4,000 in expenses, so we have 82,000 in income. With our beginning net assets we had for FES, which once again just means cash of 250, now we have 333,000 in festival cash, and our total net assets now are 337,000. So looking at our,
Go ahead.
yeah. Okay, so looking at our balance sheet, you can see we have 369,000 in total cash. 333,000 of it is our FES cash, and PFS has 36,000. You can see our liabilities have really shrunk. I'm very happy to say we have our reserve for t-shirts, and still have this outstanding CPA bill that we don't want to pay. We're going to try to settle with them, and we've been paying Upper Salford down 500 a month. We only have 3 more months left there. Our line of credit's down to $20,000. I think we can probably pay that off before next meeting. And you can see our net assets, positive net assets for PFS, 4,500, and then the 333,000 of the FES net assets, which is equal to the cash. And then lastly is our cash flow statement, which just shows our net income of 106,000. Part of that net income had revenue of the 20,000 for forgiveness, but that's not really cash coming in. So we backed that out, and then we paid an old bill, 500. So we generated $86,000 of cash, paid off $4,000 of the line of credit, and we've retained 82,000. So that's where we get 369 at the end of the period.
That's amazing. That's the best news we've heard in about a year and a half in terms of finances. Thank you, Eric Robbins, and thank you, everybody. I want to point out to our membership that one of the reasons, one of the things that Eric Robbins and the board and I have been trying to do is to not use money for this coming festival to pay off that previous debt. That's sort of a matter of honor. That's the thing that got us into trouble for so many years. And we could now, by the meeting next month, retire that debt entirely. That's why it's not gone as of this moment. But that was because we wanted to be clear that we're not spending festival money that's for 24 on old stuff that in this case was carrying over from 2022. So at this point, though, if we can, we will aim to get it paid off this month, because now it's just picking up some interest and fees, and it was $100,000 and we're down to 20, which can disappear this month. That's great. Thank you, Eric Robbins. Thank you, everybody who's been involved in the finance work, and all of the members who've been continuing to join, because that's allowing us to get rid of that debt. Excellent. Thank you. Rob, do you want to tackle development stuff? I know you've been away for a while. You had some personal issues that kept you out of the loop
We're
for a
okay.
bit.
We're okay here. So there's a good segue. Thanks to the membership and all of the membership dues, and thanks to the involvement of the volunteers and those who attended the Gene Shea Founders Awards. That is how we got out of the PFS debt, and you know we had to get out of that to have another festival, and we're still going to be working on some fundraising pieces involving making sure the PFS is healthy. And that will also be involved with membership. We do still need your memberships if they're expiring. We'll be talking a little more about that. But basically, the focus of fundraising and development now is turning towards the festival. And the primary means of raising money for the festival so that we do not have another festival in the red, besides getting those tickets sold, is the new sponsorship initiative. And I'm pleased to announce, as you have, if you've seen in the tune-up, that our first major sponsor, our premier sponsor, Louisiana Office of Tourism, is now beginning to be recognized. They're a $25,000 sponsorship. And we also know we can now say that we have a $20,000 sponsorship from Martin Guitar that is being finalized. And in addition, I want to give hats off to a local company owned by someone who's been very, very active and supportive for so many years. The Horgan Brothers Construction is also already secured a 5,000 sponsorship and has made another pledge of equal amount for a third party. So what I'm bringing up now and how you can help is if you know sponsors, companies that would like to either do an ad. It could be as little as $250 or something, but as high as sponsorship. We still have our presenting sponsorship available. Please email us. I will respond if it's related to sponsors or ads. So let us know if you know somebody, and we will provide you with information. Either we will approach them ourselves, or we will give you the material for you to approach them. So thanks to everyone for making this happen. We're on the right track now, and we have RD meetings that'll be continuing again, and we're all working together to make sure the festival is going to be in the black this year.
Hey, Rob, can I clarify real quick? The Horgan Brothers Construction, is that a $5,000 scholarship?
A $5,000 sponsorship. That's correct.
Thank you.
They've also committed another 5,000, but they're not going to credit it to them. They're going to they need to speak to somebody else, but that is a very generous individual. We know that we have a lot of generous people in our membership, and some of them might have the means to do these amazing things to make sure that our festival is not going to go in the red. And the two ways to do that is, the big way is ticket sales. And of course, Jess will be talking a bit about communications and what Kimberly and their team is doing. So I'll be quiet now, and I just want to thank all of you again.
Thanks, Rob.
Sure.
And actually, Rob, you're up again to talk about the Musical Artists Cooperative.
Different segue. So the Musical Artists Cooperative is not a means of getting us revenue, but rather a means of providing, it really serves two major purposes. One is to provide our membership with a free concert every month at the Keswick Annex. This coming month, it will be Cubism. But another reason we have the MAC initiative is to support all of our local artists, whether they're singer-songwriters or traditional artists, or even covers that are related to roots music. And we have many of them. We have right now close to 50 involved. We are beginning to develop a plan to add some more. And I want to thank all of the hardworking volunteers in MAC. I know two in particular are here tonight. Mara Levine, who does all of the administrative work and organizing, has done a tremendous job with that. Also, we have our energetic Jefferson Barry, who is expanding our reaches through booking at new venues. We appreciate all of the work that he's doing and his team. So we are going to have a number of events coming up this month. I don't need to speak on all of them. They're in the tune-up. Either Jess can mention them or someone else can mention them later on, or just read your tune-up. not all the events are free though. There's a PFS discount, and there's an even steeper MAC discount for the other events. But we want to make sure that the artists actually get paid.
Cool. Thank you, Rob. I want to hear from Jess. I have this listed as communications. There's so many things going on here. I
Miles,
don't
we
know.
lost your sound, I think.
Can you
I
hear
think
me
Rob
now?
is frozen.
I can hear you.
Maybe come closer to the computer a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hear you just fine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you too.
I hear you fine.
I hear
Wendy?
you
Can you
too.
hear?
I hear
Can you
you.
hear other people?
Might just
Wendy.
be me. It might be me.
Sorry,
Rob
Wendy.
just dropped out.
Jess, why don't you go ahead and talk about the stuff you've been working on?
Sure. And would it be all right if I combine marketing and communications at this point because Kimberly wasn't able to join today? All right,
Yes.
thank you. And then we can switch over to George, I guess. So, as far as marketing goes, we've been having weekly meetings with our marketing team. We have folks helping with graphics, copywriting, social media, and the website. And of course, if there are any folks who have expertise in those areas, we would still greatly appreciate any additional support. But we did have a great number of people reach out and offer help. So thank you. Special thanks, especially for Sue Deckard. She's gone above and beyond with website updates. And also, we're excited that Lisa Schaefer has begun Momentum Mondays on our Instagram account with her beautiful photography. So we really like that campaign. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. As far as community outreach, we have flyers ready to distribute tomorrow. So we're really excited about that. Posters, event calendars are already being populated with fest information. And, Julie Linehauser is taking the lead on that. Thank you, Julie. If you are interested in sharing posters with local organizations, if you're going to any festivals, if you're traveling and think that it would be great to have any posters, please contact me. And you can have, get some files for printing, or we can coordinate how you can get some copies of those flyers. Also, we have outreach, to colleges and university spearheaded by our volunteer, Mark Campbell. So thanks, Mark, for that. So I think that's it for marketing. And then I'm going to switch over to more of like the PFS communications then, if that's all right. Okay. So we have our tune-up team has been, doing a great amount of work. Thank you for your continuous contributions. I've helped to take the lead in getting those emails out now. So that has transferred to me as a new board member. I appreciate your patience. If there's anything that you did not receive, please let us know. Also, for those of you with Comcast emails, I'll be sending you an email directly from my email, right? Not from our email campaign management system, Robly, but from my email, I'll BCC you all with a survey. So you can just provide us your email address in that way. I think that'll be the easiest way to organize it and make sure that we get our systems corrected. So if you have an alternate email we could use, you could always use email forwarding. That would be really helpful. At Keswick Theater and Rising Sun Presents, they've continued to support us. As you heard, Rob was talking earlier about our free Mac shows at the Keswick Theater Annex. Edge Hill Rounders really, I heard, had a big hootenanny, huh? I wish I could have been there. How many people were there? Over 100, 150 maybe? Eric was there? Good. I wish I could have been there. But next up is Cubism, May 21st at the Keswick Theater Annex. So please go ahead and check them out. Also, we have a special promo just for members to receive 10% off. Actually, a 2-concert series. So first is the Bryn Mawr Twilight concert series, and that's going to be offered just for 1 week, maybe 8 days. April 27th, that's this Friday, up to May 4th. And then the Concert Under the Stars, it's a KOP, King of Prussia series, will be offered the following week. You'll have 10% off. So look for those codes in your emails. The Bryn Mawr Twilight concert series, that code was sent to members last night. So please look for that code. Stay tuned for other concert ticket giveaways also. We have 2 folks coming to the Ardmore Music Hall, John Moreland and Buck Meat. Thank you. That's it.
Cool. Thank you very much. I also do want to say that there will be, starting in May, we've been given for doing some promotion for that, for the Roy Bookbinder show in Germantown. We've been given a few complimentary tickets for that. So that will be coming out as some sort of fun contest that's going to happen about who can win free tickets if you want. Because that was their way of helping us for helping them. So thank you,
Awesome.
Jess. Really appreciated all of that. George, do you want to talk about governance issues, governance report?
Just real quick, a governance report. We met again just a week ago. We met and we're reviewing candidates for the board election at year end, and we welcome any recommendations for consideration by the committee. Also, they're drafting a manual to be used by the board of directors, and this will include their roles, responsibilities, information, and documents about the society, documents such as confidentiality agreements and the bylaws. This will ensure that all directors, new or otherwise, will have the information they need to do their jobs and explaining the functioning of the board of directors. That's really all we had. I just want to bring you up to date. There'll be some questions that I'll be bringing to various members of the board so we can fill a few holes in the manual that we have, our draft manual. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it. Before we move to festival management team, are there any outstanding issues or concerns from the board?
No outstanding issues or concerns, but I do want to thank the volunteers who came out for the 2 different Earth Day cleanups up there in Upper Salford Township. One was at the Perkiomen, the Murky Perky as they call it, and the other was at the park where we walked along the roads in the area to clean up after everybody. So again, thank you to all the volunteers who showed up.
Thank you indeed. Everybody who did that, thank you, George. All right. As was mentioned at the top of the meeting, but so the membership knows, Kimberly is not here tonight. It is her birthday, and she was given a surprise dinner that she only kind of found out about right beforehand. So she's off celebrating. With that said, I'm going to turn the festival management team report over to Andy Braunfeld. Go ahead, Andy. Michael, I'm glad to see you. I didn't see you there. Michael as well.
Yeah, there's Michael. Miles, I don't have too much of real substance to report. It has not been a quiet month, but I'm not sure how far we've gotten toward where we need to get on a lot of contracts. The sound contract is about done. I think I reported last month that based on 2022, we should be somewhere between 20 and 22 or $3,000 ahead on that budget item based on 22.
Thank you.
We will need to provide scaffolding this year, which was not required last year. Eric Ring tells me he has somebody in his client book that can help us with that, and I will be contacting you, Eric, for that information. One of the problems we've developed is that nobody seems to know where the scaffolding plans were that were used as late as 2019. That was the last time we used them, and it would be easy for the contractor to erect what we get, but we need to tell them what to build, and they have to be signed off probably by an engineer. So we are backtracking through every avenue that we can think of, but so far we haven't come up with the plans. we are also getting to a point where I know Eric Robbins will be watching the cash go another way. Deposits for performers that have been contracted and announced will have to be paid probably mid to late May, is what we're telling most people. We're going to owe the sound folks a hefty deposit. And we're not real sure on our outside contracts what kind of deposits we can get away with. Many of those people are looking for as much upfront money as they can get, especially if they are newbies to us. In that regard, while we don't have the biggest of those contracts, which would be the portable toilets and related water type items, done yet, we do have another quotation that has just come in, and Alyssa is working to check on a bunch of references that we asked for of a different company, which could save us a very considerable amount of money if everything checks out and if it appears that they can do this job. Changing that horse is risky, because at least with the expensive people and the surly and nasty people, at least we know what we're going to get. So we are working on that. I don't have anything to report on the food vendor situation, except that is under, it's being worked on. And we should have a substantial report on the progress next month. Tammy Taylor, who I saw as here somewhere, tells me that at least one of the electric meters up at the site has gone on, but the other several have been dormant for long enough, so they have to be recertified by an underwriter. Cami is making those arrangements. There will be a charge to that underwriter to recertify them, but we are working as quickly as we can to get all of the electric service available so that work can start. The report I have for you on the condition of the farm is not quite as joyous. We have a lot of fencing issues that will have to be addressed, and how we address them depends on the extent of the damage. We will need probably to buy more snow fence or equivalent, and we're looking into the best way of getting that. When I started with the festival, PennDOT used to put the snow fence out, and anybody that wanted it could come and get it, but those days are gone. There's been some issue of maybe we can use plastic, which would be less expensive. The direction of management to all concerned has been artistry has to be sacrificed for finance. That is, if it works, patch it. And we don't want to buy new stuff just because it's prettier. We will probably know by the board meeting next month what that tab is likely to be. Whoever is working on the tax exemption, Eric Ring, if that's you, would you let me and Michael and Alyssa for sure know that tax exemption certificate is available? Because at the moment, any crews that need to buy anything, if it's authorized, will be buying it on their own and get reimbursed later, but we have to get the copies of the certificate to them so that the sellers know that it's the folk festival buying these things and not the individuals.
Yeah, I'm checking every day. So as soon as that comes through, I will make sure it gets to you.
Yeah, okay. I would also want to add that Joe Horgan's name came up as a sponsor, which is a wonderful thing. Joe's been a good friend of the festivals for many years now. And if you don't know, his construction company has done a lot of very necessary and valuable construction work on the site on both sides of the tree line, camping and concert side, and has charged us nothing for that. And that's been the case for several years. So if you know Joe or you see Joe, we owe him a tremendous debt in addition to this generous sponsorship, which we heard about tonight. I will be calling the other Eric. Next week, Eric, is the time when we have to sit down and start talking about budgets. I think that I have enough concrete information to give you more than guesswork. And I'm glad we put it off at least to this point, but we've got some better things to discuss. Let me just say a word about the program. This would have been Kimberly's information to give. We have not rolled out to the public everything that has been contracted. I don't know the exact schedule, but there should be at least 2 or 3 announcements of main stage variety coming in the next few days. There are some things that we've had to hold because of performances locally here in the area and because Kimberly's idea is not to throw it all out there at one time anyway. She believes that the rolling approach keeps people waiting for tomorrow. And she's probably right. But there will be some announcements. I would say that as far as the main stage, the Martin stage is concerned, we're probably there. We may have 1 or 2 things to add, but some of the things we thought might go up there might wind up on some of the other side stages. Has Rob left? Or is Rob still here somewhere?
I'm here.
I don't see.
Me? Yep, I'm here.
Oh, great. Rob, the thing I wanted to mention to you, if I haven't, and I've forgotten whether I have, is that I have been in touch with the Martin Foundation, the Guitar Foundation, which is not the same as Martin Guitar. That is in regard to a grant that Miles arranged through Roland Kushner and the board of the Martin Guitar Foundation in the amount of $10,000. I have reworked that grant with the executive director to the point where we will spend some of it on the guitar teaching program and some of it on the tent itself or the sound system. So one of those 2 items, each about $4,000, will be part of the grant rather than the $1,000 hardware that we told them about in the original proposal. And I've told them that we will try to program much of the rest of what goes on in there consistently with the guitar classes so that we will get the culture tent back to what it was intended to do in the first place and put some kid stuff in there, educational stuff, and some spoken word, if necessary, things that will get into the history and the culture of what we're trying to do. And we might even call it the Martin Guitar Foundation Culture and Learning Center, something like that. But they're on board with that. And Rob, I wanted you aware of that. I don't think this has any crossover at all with what you've worked out on the Martin sponsorship, but you should know that it's done.
I appreciate that, but I also want to give complete credit for getting that grant to Miles and Annie, who really worked on it. But thank you for letting me know. So it's important
sure.
for you to be aware of it. Thank you.
Okay, that is basically what I have to report, Miles. You're muted.
There. Okay, I was talking to a mute. Thank you, Andy, and thank you, Rob. Thank you also to Annie Stevenson, who, while I came up with a crazy idea for that Martin grant, she's the one that wrote it and made it happen. So, I just want to thank real fast a clarification that just came through in the email from Lance Lehman. Just thanks for that. Not the email, the chat. Michael, did you want to add anything to this?
I would just say, in terms of trying to provide for Kimberly's side of things, since she couldn't be here, we talked about that there's obviously holding in reserve some artist announcements, some more exciting stuff to come, but we'll say that the lineup that we have announced so far is receiving positive feedback. Kimberly's hard at work on the marketing aspect of it. I saw some people had noticed that the WXPN advertisements have started and picked up some positive press from Dan DeLuca in the Inquirer, and everybody seems to be pretty excited about it. I'd also note that she's been delivering assets to the committees to aid with the recruitment, to get set up with videos for use on social media and the website. So chairs can look for that, and we can get to work helping you out for any of those who are still looking for volunteers. Personally, I'm still knee-deep in contracts, working on revising something new for the craft vendors that I should be able to have to the committee by the end of this week, just proofreading some of the language that I've added to previous documents. Not going to tell you what this hefty stack of one single contract is, but I just got it back from legal on the other side, and very pleased that I got just about everything that I was asking for. And other than that, yeah, just the past couple of weeks have been spending a lot of time on the phone and trying to get outside the house as much of my schedule will allow, to just kind of mend some fences and try to repair and maintain relationships that have been kind of fractured over the last several years before your time on the board, which I'm sure all of you guys can understand that, but I feel like I'm making headway in there, and everybody seems excited for the future. So
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for the fence mending. All right. At this point, I would like to open things up unless board members have any additional concerns or questions. I'd like to open this up to general Q&A from the membership. All right. If you're a member with questions, please use the raise your hand icon, because that's the way I'm going to see it up here. If you raise your own hand, I may not see it. You may be on a different page. So let me start. Mara actually was up. I saw Mara first. So let me see Mara. Go ahead, Mara Levine.
Can you guys hear me okay? All right, I'll make this extremely quick. I want to mention again, we have our open mic that takes place on the third Wednesday of the month. That's available to anyone, and that's going to be taking place on the 15th of May. And a quick notice, May 1st is our first, it's Matthew Gordon and the Honey Badgers at the Warehouse. May 3rd is Rachel Eve and Ami Yaris at Malilani. May 16th is the Jersey Corn Pickers and Jackson Pines at the Falzer Club. And of course, our free member concert, Cubism at the Keswick, May 21st, and all the MAC shows have discounts for PFS and MAC members. So we hope people can come out and join us for these wonderful programs. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mara, and thank you to everybody involved in the Musical Artists Cooperative. It's really nice to see that. Steve Ram, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. Unmute on. Okay. I put my question, Miles, over in the right-hand side. First, before I say that, I want to congratulate Eric Ring as a fellow CPA, a tax preparer. Saving that money is great. Eric Robbins, your report was great. I really appreciate it. Looks good. My question is on ticket sales. When I saw the 800,000 or whatever that number was, divided it by the average price, I wasn't getting a lot of ticket sales. So maybe I'm wrong or I'm calculating it, but can we know at this point how many were sold and or approximately how many were sold, and also how many of those were with camping and without camping? Because that's the only way you could buy them at this point.
I have not been into the internal weeds of that system with upped events or ticketing service. Perhaps somebody else on the board has a better knowledge of that. Eric Robbins.
So I saw Steve in the chat and I am running the pivot table as we speak, but you didn't give me too much time here, so I can't be 100% confident on the numbers, but looking like 842 camping tickets. This does not include volunteers. 267 all festival non-camping tickets.
Okay. So that's about 1,000 people guaranteed at this point, every day until people can buy the others. That's a big help.
That does not include volunteers, which I can probably get you in if you give me another minute, but I'll respond to you in the chat.
Okay, the volunteers really have no real rush at this point, so because as their prices stay the same. So, but I thank you very much. Also, last question here. Did we get a membership report? I don't remember who that is. I don't want to get picky, but it would be nice to know that we
Yes,
new members.
I can give the membership report.
Thanks,
sorry.
Rob.
We had 1,134 in March. We have 1,104 in April, so they're just down 30. We're at a moment right now where there's a lot of renewals that are due, and we're coming up with a plan to communicate that in a way in which we can get you back. But if you happen to know that you need to renew, please do so right away. We do need to get some renewals out there. So stay tuned. We have a couple of interesting ideas on how to do that.
Thanks, Rob. And thank you, Steve. Jefferson, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, good job on the finances. Wow.
Yeah.
What a deal. I just wanted to add some sizzle to what the Musical Artists Co-op is doing. We have opened up 7 venue partners to do seasonal concerts on a regular basis. And at this point, all 50 of our members are pretty much booked before the end of the year. And this first Wednesday, this month in May is really when the our season series are starting at the Warehouse 3 out in Swarthmore. If you haven't been there, the guy who runs this place is an antique dealer, and he just puts all kinds of crazy stuff in there. The sound in there is phenomenal. Folk Fest veteran Matt Gordon is going to be headlining. Honey Badgers are opening, and they've been showcase artists at both the Folk Alliance and NERFA. So they're both really top-notch bands. Melani Cafe is the best Greek meal going in town, in my opinion. And Ami Yaris and Rachel Eve are going to be there for the beginning of our First Friday series at Melani there in Germantown. The Falzer Club in East Falls, 150 seats, just a crazy kind of layout. If you haven't been there, it's amazing. But for that gig, we really needed some big draw. And we got the Jersey Cornpickers, no doubt the best bluegrass band in the area. And they're opening up for that show is going to be Jackson Pines. Very interesting act. That's going to be a very, very good show. All these shows are in your tune-up. Make a point of coming out to them. The free show on May 21st at the Keswick. Our relationship with the Keswick continues to grow. Cubism, very, very interesting act showing the bounds of folk music in our group. Got a couple libraries dialed in, and this week we just signed up the Mount Airy Arts Garage, which is a nice big venue. And
it's an old factory. They've got a lot of space. Yeah.
a lot of space and a nice stage, nice sound system, and we're going to be able to. We got our bands are booking in there too. So make a point to look at the tune-up and come out and support local music. These bands are all pretty strong. You know, you have a good time.
Thank you, Jefferson. Appreciate it. Appreciate all your hard work. Jack, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, real quick. I was writing a letter to my volunteers and was stating that you guys need money up front for the obvious things that you guys were just talking about. Do you have any idea how much money you need up front for May and June just to pay this stuff? Cash flow wise?
Yeah, well, we're still working our way through that because Andy and his team, Alyssa Landis, has been doing a great job. I think she's out there somewhere, at trying to get quotes from vendors, different quotes to get the best pricing, work out what we need. So it's still fluid right now, the whole budgeting. We're guesstimating we're going to need about half of the total, cost of the fest in advance, usually from deposits, and then everyone wants to get paid within 2 weeks after that.
Sure.
But all our revenues would be in by then. So it's still a process and trying to figure out how much the fest is going to cost and kind of mirroring that with our ticket sales and the revenues coming in so we can make decisions on whether we need to reduce some of the things that we normally have, like cutting costs. So completely agree with you. We would want everybody who knows they're coming to fest to buy their ticket as soon as possible. I know I'll sleep better as the money comes in. But unfortunately, looking back at past trends, there's an expectation that a lot of tickets won't be bought until the week of and the days of. So we realize that, but the more we can get in, the sooner, the better off we'll be, and the better off we'll all feel about having a fest that breaks even, or as Rob said, is in the black.
Yeah, so if anybody who was a committee chair writes their people ahead of time, they might do the same thing I'm doing. Being a former accountant and auditor, I know all this stuff is necessary. So I know that the $80,000 is going to be spent probably in May without even thinking about it. And you need that money coming in. So it's something to think about, especially if committee chairs do the same thing as I do and write to people, write to their volunteers. Pay
Yeah,
up
thank you
now.
for that. Thank you for that suggestion. Absolutely. That would be
Yeah.
wonderful.
I got to
Thank
leave you
you.
guys because I got a second Zoom meeting. So it's yeah, one of those nights.
Thank you, Jack. Take care of yourself. All right. I see no more hands. So board of directors, does anybody have any comments or concerns or issues we missed that we need to go over? All right. I would like to, once again, if you came in late, I know some people did. We're struggling. If you have a Comcast account, we're struggling with fixing it between Comcast and our email database company. It's honestly easier if you create a Gmail account and get a hold of us sending us your new Gmail account. I know it's a pain, but it's better than not getting the information from us. Also, a survey will be coming out to those people that are receiving who've been getting their stuff not delivered from Comcast. That will be coming from a non-Comcast email that'll come from Jess, and that'll help us gather the information to update. So there's that. With that being said, I would like to have somebody pass the motion or make the motion to adjourn this meeting. Wendy is making the motion. Somebody second?
Second.
Eric Robbins second. All in favor?
Yay.
Aye. Raise your hands.
Aye.
Something. Thank you.
And
The meeting is now closed. Thank you to everyone who attended. Thank you to all of you. If you are still celebrating a holiday tonight, have a great time. If otherwise, we'll see you guys in a month, and we'll continue to be in touch in all the ways we can. All right, everybody. Good night.